Since 2015, I have taught TV broadcast at the high school. Over that time, my program has evolved, and so has my equipment. One of the biggest changes was the video switchers. I started with the Blackmagic Design television studio. This switcher was small and simple. Inputs 1 and 2 were HDMI, 3 and 4 were switchable between SDI and HDMI, and inputs 5 and 6 were SDI only. Program out and multi-view were both HDMI and SDI, very versatile. The switcher could also output an H.264 encoding of the program directly to USB, so the computer was basically seeing it as a webcam. The only real drawbacks were the lack of inputs and that the audio had to come in as digital AES EBU. I loved that it created its own H.264 encoding. For football and basketball, we used the TriCaster Mini by NewTek. This switcher was an entire computer system. I loved that it did full motion graphics and streamed directly. However, because it was a full computer with a switcher panel attached, it was very clunky. Also, it became outdated after a few years because the school district stopped supporting the computer's operating system. I then built a switcher cart with the ATEM Television Studio HD. This switcher had plenty of inputs, including XLR. I had a few complaints about this one. This new model didn't support H.264 encoding like the first ATEM TV Studio, so I had to plug it into a Teradek VidiU, which was ridiculously unreliable. I also didn't like that you were expected to use the big ENG buttons on the front for switching. I didn't feel like it was giving the real authentic switcher experience. I applied for a grant, and I bought the Blackmagic ATEM 2ME Broadcast Studio 4K for the school broadcast studio. I love it, but definitely not portable. Honestly, I don't have much to complain about this one. It boasts 20 inputs and 2 mix effects panels, so you're basically running 2 switchers at once. This switcher only does still image media pools. We have a separate input for video playback. That's one thing I miss about the old TriCaster. I've always struggled with the upstream chroma key settings. Maybe that's just our lighting in the studio. But even things that Ultra Key in Premiere Pro has an easy time with, the chroma key really struggles on this switcher. This switcher doesn't stream for itself. You have to pass it to OBS or another streaming device. I even have it connected to my Data Video ITC100 for tally lights. I got this new switcher that had recently come out called the ATEM Mini so I could start streaming classes during distance learning. It didn't stream, just switching. I had to plug it into my super unreliable Teradek VidiU or have YouTube view it as a webcam for streaming, which was weird because the monitor image showed in reverse. I loved how portable it was. To replace the TriCaster Mini for sporting events, I wanted to get an ATEM Mini Pro that streams with a stream key at the touch of a button. I ended up getting the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, not just the Pro, because on that one you can record individual inputs separately. I don't use that feature as often as I thought I would. I use it for streaming sports and other school events instead of the TriCaster Mini. Way better. I love that all the buttons and features are right there at your fingertips. Upstream and downstream keyers, volume control per audio channel, and recording and streaming settings are all accessible buttons right on the panel. It only has 4 HDMI inputs, but for most applications, that's all you need. Years later, I thought, boy, this is convenient to stream on the fly. Maybe I could use this in the studio too instead of streaming through OBS on a computer. I'm so glad I did. Now, I still use the ATEM 2ME Broadcast Studio 4K, but I route one of the program outputs into my second ATEM Mini Pro as its only input. The stream is more faithful and reliable, and I can record if I need to also. In the future, I may get the ATEM Mini Pro Extreme that has 8 inputs, so I can have even more inputs during live events. I'll keep you posted if I end up getting it. Catch you on the next one.